We are so honored to have you here. The day we came to know that, we will be having a live with you. I mean, I, I'm so honored. This is the first time I'm going to take a live with someone uh, like you. And thanks a lot for coming on the Bookaholics Book Club.
Thank you, and I'm grateful to be here. Happy
Thanks,
to serve.
thanks a lot. So, I know I just gave a brief introduction to everyone. So I'll just, for everyone out there who have joined today, thanks a lot for joining in today. We will be having a great conversation with Mr. Shubha Vilas ji. We will be knowing about his new book more, apart from the old book he has written. So sorry, did I use the conversation?
No, it's
Okay.
it's fine.
Okay. Um, so as the people are joining, I will just introduce again Mr. Shubha Vilas ji. Needs no introduction. He is a spiritual seeker. He's I think a mentor, a leader. He gives a speech. He tries to help all the people in the modern day life with his teachings from Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana. And we are going to talk about his new book, Think Big to Win, and this is his sixth book in the Ramayana, the Game of Life series. So I think we should get started. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we wanted to know the very first thing is that the book Think Big to Win is this is as I already said that it's the sixth book. Can you please explain the title of the book? How did the title arrive and what exactly lies in this book?
I'll just show the book to the audience. This is the book. It's called Think Big to Win. Of course, y'all can see it in a mirror image, but this is how it looks. Uh, so, so this book, Think Big to Win, is all about your mindset. It technically refers to the Yuddha Kand of the Ramayana, the section where the Ravan war happens. It's an amazing story, but the more important thing is that the story has a lot of beautiful lessons in it, and this story has everything you need to know about being successful in life, everything you need to know about what is the right mindset that you need to achieve success in life, everything you need to know about how you can think big to really win in life. Now, winning is only on an external level. It's about money, resources, power, control, position, etc. But winning also is an internal level. So this think big to win is not only going to help you win the external battles of life, but it is going to help you win the inner battles of life, which are the more serious and the more powerful battles that we need to really win.
Wow, that's really amazing. As you said, that absolutely there are a lot of the battles which we already do in our everyday life, but there are the battle which goes inside us. So we have to win that. And I think with our conversation today, we will get to know more about that. So I know this is the sixth book, and you might have planned accordingly. And I think you have mentioned that. You have your first book, and this is the sixth book, is the last, I think, the sixth, according to the Valmiki, and the sixth Kanda. So I want to know more that what inspired you to write this book, apart from telling the story of the Ramayana and the whole the fight and between Ravan and Ram, but what actually inspired you to let the world know which already know? So what is new which actually inspired you?
This Ramayana, the Game of Life series is my tribute to my grandmother.
Wow.
It's my tribute to all the storytellers in this world who have kept the tradition of telling stories alive.
Absolutely.
It's my tribute to all those people who love hearing stories. I always felt that stories never die. The stories have to be only presented in a way that is very much relevant for today's world. So I have been studying and hearing the Ramayana for ages, but for me, the freshness of the story is in the perspective in which the story is seen. And therefore, what I have simply done is help the audience. I mean, I have thousands of people who have read the book across the world, and so many of them have. And the interesting thing is, for each one, a different part of the book strikes. For each one, a different aspect of the book really hits hard. And each book of mine in the series of Ramayana, the Game of Life, have at least 200 to 300 lessons. Each book has. That means over the entire series, we have easily anything between 1,200 to 1,600 lessons waiting for the readers to read, absorb, digest, live by, and apply in their lives. And that's my little contribution to society.
That's absolutely. And as I was actually reading the book, this is not a one-time go. Like, you can sit and read. You actually need to, as you said, it's a life lessons. You need to sit, grasp that, digest whatever you have mentioned, and implement that. So I really loved reading this book. So now coming to the book, the the name of the chapters. I mean, that made me thinking that I really loved the way you have mentioned all the chapters. So can you explain which chapter is very close to your heart?
Of all the chapters in the book, there's one particular chapter which talks about the building of the bridge. We all know about, everyone has heard about the Nala Setu, it's called, the stone bridge that was built. Uh, of all the chapters that I wrote, I think that chapter is very sweet because it has such sweet stories and such sweet lessons to learn from it. And of course, that chapter also teaches us something very important in life. It teaches us how, if a lot of individually weak people, if they come together with great intentions, with the right intentions, and in a spirit of cooperation, they can do the impossible.
Right.
The Vanara army, which was totally unequipped, built an entire bridge which was 800-mile long and 80-mile wide in flat 5 days. And you can imagine the spirit of cooperation among them. There was no one there who was trying to show off. There was no one there that was trying to prove that I am better than you. There was no one there that was trying to usurp all the credit. There was no one there that was doing it out of anything to gain. So nobody was paid among them. Nobody had a salary. Nobody had a bank account there. Nobody had anything personal to gain from there. But they all had a common purpose, and they all had love for their leader, Ram. And Ram didn't buy them. He didn't have money to afford them also.
Yeah.
But he won them by his love, by his affection, by his genuine intentions, and by his purity. I think it's a very powerful leadership lesson in today's world where leaders are trying to buy people's commitments. The idea of buying people's commitment is so easy. It's so easy to buy people's commitments, but it is so difficult to inspire people to commit to a cause with no external, form of pay involved in it, right? So I think this chapter is really powerful in that way, and in so many other ways.
Yeah, you said it right. I mean, I completely agree. And there are so many life lessons, as you said, in each chapter to learn. And thanks for sharing that this is really close to your heart. Um, so for our viewers, can you please tell, this is not about the book. So we wanted to know about your journey and to know more about yourself. I just told it in one sentence about you, like you're a spiritual seeker. But how did you get there? And from a spiritual seeker, a monk to an author, can you please tell us your life journey to all of us?
So my journey began in my engineering days when I studied engineering for 4 years. I was studying electronics and telecommunication.
Wow.
During my first year of engineering, I came across some really wonderful souls who touched my heart very deeply, and I began to listen to them. One of them was my guru, my teacher, His Holiness Radhanand Swami, whose teachings and whose words have been my lifelong source of inspiration and guidance. And whatever I do in my life, I do it simply to make him happy. So my teacher and so many other teachers whom I came across in my life have been my primary source of inspiration from that time when I was about 17 or 18 years of age at that point. And I have gained so much wisdom from so many powerful, great souls. And I'm simply trying to share that wisdom with the world. I feel that there is so much the world can gain if we can just simply share this wisdom. So when I began my journey, when I was doing my engineering days, uh, I didn't know where I was heading. I was simply looking out for a regular job. And then a 1 year of engineering job bored me to the core, and I was like dead bored. And I was because I learned everything that was to learn in about 3 or 4 months, and after that it was very mechanical. I just couldn't stand working there. Though I was in charge for an entire state for that company and I was doing well, but I felt I needed something more adventurous. And that's when I started pursuing law. And I completely shifted my field from engineering to law. And I mean, I don't think too many people in the world have done that. And after I studied law, I was specializing in patent law, which is a techno-legal field in one sense, because I realized that I need some variety every day. I can't do the same monotonous thing on a daily basis. And then when I started, working in a law firm, I loved the field of patent law. I was really good at what I was doing. But at some point, so I was living two parallel lives actually. I was living the life of a lawyer and an engineer, like a techno-legal consultant. But at the same time, I was also a very strongly practicing spiritualist, and my spiritual practices were pretty intense. Even at that young age, I was like 21 at that point, 21, 22. But so I used to, have a 9 to 9 job. I would go at 9 o'clock in the morning, return back at 9:30 at night. And then after 9:30, I would go out to give classes to young boys in some hostels, trying to inspire them to take on the path of spirituality and things like that. So 9:30 onwards till 12:30 in the night, I was like very busy giving classes almost on a daily basis. And so I was, as I said, living two parallel lives literally. And then I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do my morning spiritual practices, and then again go to the job. So in that phase, I realized that my job was giving me fantastic salary, fantastic opportunity, and my spiritual practices and my contribution in terms of teaching and sharing was giving me great satisfaction in the heart. So at one point, after about 4 years of working and teaching together simultaneously, I realized I derive greater joy in giving than in taking. And that's when I made this conclusion that I want to live a life where I can give society a lot more than I take, And that's when I decided that I want to jump into this path of spirituality very seriously, become a monk in a temple. So I lived in a monastery for almost close to about 11, 12 years, and very intensely practiced spiritual practices and very intensely studied our scriptures and served so many great souls. And in that journey, I really began to love the scriptures, and especially I was trying to be presented in a relevant way. And then at one point while I was staying in the temple, one very senior friend of mine, my mentor, my guide, he told me that I should start writing. So I used to be a part of a school called Gopal's Garden High School, which was run by our community, but it was a very wonderful school. And I was given this opportunity to teach children in the school something about values and something about culture. And I once went to the library of the school. And when I went to the library, I realized that the children are reading, Harry Potter and Percy Jackson and, Hardy Boys. And there was nothing that, children could read from a Vedic perspective, which was exciting. I mean, of course, there were many books, spiritual books there, but nothing that a child would be excited to read.
Yes.
So I decided, let me do some writing. I had never written a single word till that point in time. I never wrote anything. But that day I decided, let me write something. Even if it never gets published, even if it is like just a spiral bound book, at least I'll put it in the library. And that's what I began the venture with.
Wow.
And the very first book, when I submitted it to Jaico for the review, and they loved it, and they signed all 6 books without even knowing me at all. They had complete trust in me, and somehow. And that's how the journey began. And the first book itself became a bestseller. And I from then have been writing. I've written close to about 30 books now.
That's really amazing. As you see, as you said that nowadays the kids really need to know our tradition. Like, yeah, there are a lot of, like, other fictional books, but kids needs to know there are a lot. I mean, the reason even we started the book club and now we are doing a lot for kids, as you said, that apart from digital, at least kids need to pick up books and then
Yeah.
at least need to know our culture. There is a lot to learn, like as you said. So it's absolutely like fun to know your journey, and from an engineer to a monk to an author, and that's really amazing and a lovely journey, as you say that I think many of us would be really inspired today. So coming to the my next like question is there is one chapter which I read is assumptions and expectations. Now, the title itself kept me thinking that we in our daily life we make a lot of assumptions and we have a lot of expectations from everyone like around us, starting from our own like spouse, parents, kids, or maids, anyone the helpers. But the and I will, if you like give me, can I read the
Please,
paragraph? Yeah.
please, please.
So
Yeah.
Ravana has assumed that someone who took a whole 10 months to find where his wife was and was incapable of waging a war. So he already assumed that Ram is incapable. So I really like this. And then he when Ram heard that his piece that from his spices that Ram is sitting on the other side of the ocean on a 3 day long fasting trying to peace the ocean god, he laughed out loud. Such an insecure person could never wage a war, leave alone win one. So, I mean, I, I mean, I don't know. That's really, I mean, I'm so, after we know the whole entire story now, what happened to Ravana, but how wonderfully you have mentioned it here. Like, do you want to explain it something more here on this chapter, assumption and
Yeah,
expectation?
sure, sure. Every assumption that we make in life is preceded by an expectation. We expect that someone will behave in this particular way, and that assumption and expectation are so interlinked together that if that expectation is not met, then we get wildly angry. So our assumptions lead to expectations, and our expectations lead to more assumptions. So it becomes like a vicious cycle that destroys so many relationships. A lot of relationships in this world are so powerfully based on some assumption that this person will behave in this particular way. This person will do this for me. This person will be a life support for me. So we have so many assumptions about people, and every assumption leads to an expectation from them. So when we assume that people will be there for us, we expect that they will give us something. We'll expect that they will do so many things for us. So we have this endless cycle of expectations and assumptions that often go wrong. And when they go wrong, then instead of looking at faults in our assumptions, we look at faults in people. Rather than looking at faults in ourselves, we end up looking at faults in people. And that pains the relationship. And that often destroys the relationship.
Absolutely. I mean, and from like Ravana or from, sorry, this Ramayana, you have tried to explain And then you can really relate. I mean, I don't know, this is so close to me. I have actually bookmarked this, and this is going to stay with me forever, like, because I don't want to forget, like, in our, like, path. It so happens that, everywhere we assume and we expect so many things from the people, and this is a wonderful chapter, I must say. All chapters are amazing, but this is something really close to me.
Ravan was not really the king of Lanka. He was a king of assumptions and expectations.
Absolutely right. So, what was the best part when you were writing this book?
For me,
Yes.
when I was writing the Ramayana series and specifically this book, this whole series has been a powerful meditation for me. It's allowed me to delve so deep into the Ramayana. I mean, I can't tell you how much fun I had. What you see on the book is just a reflection of the fun that I had while studying and researching it, and the absorption and the amount of learning that has happened for me personally through the series is just unexplainable, unbelievable, and I'm so grateful to all the teachers, all the great sages who have put this all together, and all the commentators on the Ramayana, all the authors of the Ramayana in the past. I'm just so grateful to them. So I consider myself to be a lifelong student who has just been studying the wisdom of great sages. And I'm just sharing the wisdom in a way that is relevant to the modern audience. That's all. I've not done anything great on my own. I'm just presenting it in a way that works for the modern audience. And That's why I said, for me, this series has been just a very powerful meditation.
Wow.
So, of course, what I shared in the book is like probably 1/4 of what I researched. So, there is so much more that I couldn't put down in the book. So, what I do is whenever I give lectures, I kind of speak a few things here and there, which is not in any of the books. So, that is how I enjoy the journey. So, I feel that when a writer, when an author personally enjoys the journey of studying, researching, and reading, that reflects in the writing. It's simply a reflection of your own love for what you're doing. So I personally feel that any author who wants to do justice to the book and who wants to really make a book relevant to people and touch people's hearts, it is important that the author personally enjoys the reading and enjoys the research and enjoys the enlightenment that he receives, and it simply reflects in the writing.
Absolutely. So, how much time did you took to research and put it in a book, like, and how many editions you had?
Oh, so my research has been going on for years. So I've been studying the Ramayana for like close to 8 to 9 years, and over and above so that's like the long-term part, because as I said, I've been studying it, not just reading it. But the actual amount of time I took to write the book, this book took me almost like about 2 months.
Amazing.
So what I usually do is, when I write in spurts. So when I get a inspiration, I just sit down and just go on and on and on. I write it completely. So usually my writing takes very less time. It's like typically 2 to 4 months at max for any book that I've written so far. But my research is an ongoing one. Because my research is an ongoing one, I can afford to write it fast.
Absolutely. As you said that you might have already thought about the six books, and then I think this is the last book, and definitely we want to know that what is your next, is there any next your project or any book which you are working on? Anything?
Oh yeah, I'm working on so many books simultaneously. Right now, I'm working on an illustrated Mahabharat for kids.
That's absolutely amazing. We really
Yeah.
need one. Wow. We have a lot
And
of
it's going to be,
Ramayana. Yeah.
yeah. So this is going to be my style of writing the story, but the illustrations are going to be fantastic. I recently wrote an illustrated Ramayana for kids, which became a massive hit. It went on to become Amazon #2 bestseller at one point, and is really doing very well. And thousands of people who have been reading that illustrated Ramayana for kids, especially the kids.
Yes.
They have been, writing to me and calling me and telling me how they're loving that book.
Yes.
So I thought I should do an illustrated Mahabharat for kids also.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean that's what I said, that I myself, I have a daughter and we have this illustrated Ramayana, and she really loves it. She knows at least that who is Ram, Ravan, Sita. So that's amazing, and I think we should know more about Mahabharata. And
I'm happy to know that your daughter has the book.
and that's really amazing to know that you have picked up the subject, which is like close to all of us and something which we can teach our kids. So, um, yeah, you already answered that. How long did you take to write this book? You said 2 months. So that was my next question. So, coming to these books I have few more questions, but apart from this, the five books, the earlier five books. So I think the first one was Roar with Courage. Second one was Conquer with Change. Third is Adopt Patience. Fourth is Stand Strong. And fifth is Radiate Confidence. So can you briefly tell about all these books? I know you can't tell briefly, but if there is something which you can let
Yeah,
the
in
audience
essence,
know about all the previous five books.
yeah. So the entire series is called Ramayana, the Game of Life.
Hmm.
This series is the entire Ramayana in 6 volumes, and each volume is actually one kand of the Ramayana, spoken with life lessons. So I speak the entire kand of Ramayana with very powerful understandings of the deeper insights to it. So that is the way in which the entire series is developed, basically. So each book is a standalone book, and each book you don't have to really refer to anything else to read each book, because the story everybody knows, basically. But what really makes these books interesting is the language in which they are written, the narrative, which is very, very gripping and fast moving, and the life lessons that really bring in so much. And in addition to all that, what I have done is that I have brought in backstories from so many scriptures, because everything that happens in the Ramayana, there is a backstory, which often people don't know. So, well, that's what I've been doing, basically. So I've been putting all this together in the form of this beautiful narrative in 6 volumes.
Wow, that's really amazing. So there was some question earlier. Someone wanted to know that what is the shloka which is really close to you from Ramayana.
Oh, कौशल्या सुप्रजा राम पूर्व संध्या प्रवर्तते उत्तिष्ठ नर शार्दूल कर्तव्य देवमानिकम. Vishwamitra Muni speaks this verse in the Ramayana, the Balakand of the Ramayana, when Lord Ram is sleeping and during their journey travels, and Vishwamitra Muni is meditating on the greatness of Mother Kaushalya. Kaushalya Supraja Rama. When he sees Ram's sleeping beauty, he's just so mesmerized by the beautiful form of the Lord that spontaneously he remembers Kaushalya, who is the one that sees this particular sleeping beautiful form of Lord Ram on a daily basis. And he is glorifying Kaushalya, and at the same time he's trying to wake up Lord Ram. So this shloka is something that I really love and I meditate on a lot.
Wow. And I think someone also asked that which shloka do you recite when you wake up?
This is the one. this this is the one to be chanted when you wake up in the morning.
Okay.
Because it talks about Kaushalya Supraja Rama, It talks about Uttishta Narshardula Kartavyam Devamanikam. It's actually a reminder, Ram was sleeping, and Vishwamitra Muni is saying that it is already sunrise time. Uttishta Narshardula. So he says that any leader who wants to do something good to society, they have to set an example by their own personal life. And therefore he calls him Narashardula. And he says, Kartavyam Devamanikam, get up and do your duties that are assigned to you by God. So which means that every leader has to wake up early in the morning, that's the first thing, and do things that inspire society and which is in alignment with your duties to society.
Wow. Yeah, amazing. So I have something, I mean, and this is for the first time we are doing it with you. We have a 30 sec, I mean, I will just, it's a quick fire rapid round. and I'll ask you 5 questions. You have to answer it quickly without like thinking, whatever first which comes to your mind.
Yeah, sure.
So, okay, so shall we start?
Yep.
Okay. So, who is your inspiration and why?
Radhanath Swami Maharaj, because I love him.
Okay. That was, yeah. So, are you scared of someone or something? And why?
I'm scared of letting down people that really love me.
Okay, that really makes sense. How do you start your day?
I start my day, the first half an hour of my day goes in thinking.
Okay, that's amazing.
And then I get into my spiritual practices.
Wow. What do you like the most? What do you like to do the most?
Um, I like to, in my, you know, of course, if you ask me from a work point of view, I love to work. I'm a workaholic. I work all day, all night. I mean, I don't have any time bounds. I don't have a weekend. I just love what I'm doing, so I keep working. But beyond my work, beyond what I do in terms of work, what I love to do is I love to walk because and I love to travel. So during my walk and travel, this is the time when I do my thinking because I personally feel that every human being should spend some time with himself on a daily basis, where one thinks a lot about one's own life and a lot about everything else. So a lot of my ideas come when I'm traveling and thinking, and I'm walking and thinking. So in essence, you can say that one of my favorite things to do is think.
Yeah, amazing. And if you were not a monk or an author or a spiritual seeker, what would you had been?
I would have been a trekker on some mountain.
Yeah. So thanks a lot. It was really amazing having and knowing these questions. I mean, the answers from you. So, um, if you want to tell the audience out there, I mean, who are already picking up your book, but if there is something which you would like the audience that why they should pick up this book and why they should read this book.
This book will make you laugh, it'll make you cry, it'll make you smile, it'll make you happy, it'll make you enlightened, it'll make you um, proud of your culture, it'll make you very, very insightful in being able to help your friends, and more than that, it'll make you grateful. So if you want any of these things, you should definitely pick up the book series, and you will not regret it. I can assure you that.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, so all of you out there, before we close, we have one last question. But do pick up this book, Think Big to Win. This is the last book in the series, but there are the 5 books which will at least give you insight from the Ramayana that what's so much to learn for the modern day life for the people like us uh, in our, like you can say, rat race where we are just running and trying to achieve things, but I mean without any, maybe I can say, um, goal or something. So I think this book will really help us to get back and slow down our life. And now one last closing note before we close. um, I know you have already given a lot of message to our audience and our aspiring writers. So, is there something more which you would like to tell all of them before we close the session?
Thank you very much, all of you all, for being here and patiently listening to this discussion. In a world of Instagram where attention span is less than 3 seconds now, staying in a conversation for more than half an hour, it's not easy. And if somebody has stayed in for a longer period of time, I congratulate all of you all. My humble request, suggestion, and thought to all of you all is that please try to make your life deep and not just long. Please try to make your life meaningful and not just fun. Please try to make your life valuable and not just rich. I think if you can just meditate on these things and try to find a way to do all these three things, your life will be more complete and more fulfilling.
This was absolutely, I mean, I don't even remember what we talked about this. I think I'm going to just keep it and keep it. I mean that's a very one biggest takeaway from this entire session. So thanks a lot, Shubha Vilas ji, for coming to Bookaholic
Thank you.
Book Club. Every one of our like we were so excited to have you here and listen to you. We could not be in the universities to hear your lecture, but we got to hear from you here. So I mean that's really amazing. And again, thanks a lot. And uh, yeah, I think I don't have words now.
Thank you. There's one question that has been keeping on coming by one friend of ours. I don't remember what his name is. He was desperate to know a sloka from the, or rather something about Hanumanji era.
Yeah.
He has been Jagdish. I think he's been trying to ask me something on Hanumanji
Okay.
because
Yeah. He
Hanumanji is
asked
my
what are
favorite.
the perfect prayers to please Lord Hanumanji, any authenticate book on it. Okay.
Yeah. So I thought let me just answer that
Okay,
because
sure.
Hanumanji
Yes.
is my favorite and I love Hanuman. I've written several books on Hanumanji. So I would highly recommend you to meditate on Hanuman Chalisa and also a few verses in the Ramayana which Hanuman speaks. But more than if you're really interested in understanding the Hanuman Chalisa any deeper, I've written a book on Hanuman Chalisa where every word of Hanuman Chalisa is written through stories. So you can just meditate on every single word of the Hanuman Chalisa through so many amazing stories. In fact, I'm doing a 21-week course on Hanuman Chalisa. Right now, I'm in the middle of it, explaining Hanuman Chalisa through stories and through deeper meditation and insights. So, Jagdish, if you are really interested in understanding Hanumanji better and absorbing yourself in Hanumanji, this is the book to go. Thank you.
And then we can take one more question. When I was just scrolling, I saw best thing which we should learn from Ravan.
The best thing you can learn from Ravan is to be absorbed in something higher, but unfortunately, though Ravan was absorbed in in many higher things like Lord Shiva, but he couldn't retain that absorption. See, our mind wants to do a lot of higher things in life. So, like I'm sure many of you all would have had the desire that I want to pray, or I want to give charity, I want to do this, I want to do that. We all have a desire, but the problem with people like Ravan and including us is that we are not able to retain the desire for too long. So, what we can learn from Ravan is not just have the desire for something higher, but have the ability to retain it. Retention is not easy. Having a good thought is very easy, but retaining that good thought is not easy. So, I personally feel that Ravan's life is a good example of. It almost serves like a warning. There are some people that you can learn from what they do, and there are some people that you can learn from what they don't do. So I think we can learn this one thing from Ravan, and this is something that he didn't manage to do, retain the higher desire, and that's something that will probably help us and serve us as a warning also.
Absolutely. So someone wanted to know your Hanuman Chalisa, this course. So information. So can you please tell where this will be available to them?
Um, they can check out my Instagram page. So whoever wants to follow my Instagram page, and in that Instagram page, there will be a particular post where there is all the details that you need to know about the Hanuman Chalisa course, including contact numbers of people with whom you can register for the course. So I'm already 7 weeks into the course. This is a 21-week course, but we can always send you all the previous recordings and connect you all to the course. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so I think there are a lot, like, people won't stop asking you questions because it's really amazing. And I know I can't believe I completed this in half an hour, though I had a lot of questions. I had to cut down a lot of things, but maybe we will have one more opportunity once your new book is
Sure.
published for the kids,
Sure.
especially. So we will do that series as well. So thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot for
Thank you.
joining.
Thank you
Thanks
very
all the
much.
audience out there for listening us today. Thank you and have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Bye bye.